crashing our party
So let me
because
ask you
you
one
tried
question.
to stop our democracy.
I got one question.
Donald Trump called the
Can I ask you
Secretary of
one
State of
question?
Georgia and told him to find him some votes.
One question.
Oh my God. That is so fucking weird.
Anyway,
What's your name, sir? Sir, what's your name?
My name's Leano Sharon. I'm a DNC.
She's still just like at the front lines, like, you know, somehow got there, got the team there, they got the camera, everything, and there's Amy Goodman right out front being like, hey, sir, please tell me your name, tell me your story.
delegate from Michigan.
And what did you do today?
Today we held up a sign protesting the murder of children in Gaza and the continuing genocide.
Watch your step, watch your step.
What did the sign say?
It said, stop arming Israel.
All right, thank you. Let's keep it going. We'll watch out get into the
And
tunnel.
what happened?
Let's get
And
into
what
the tunnel.
happened?
You can interview him in the tunnel, okay?
And what happened
I just don't want you to break your ankles.
Then the people behind us grabbed a hold of the sign and tried to rip it out of our hands several times. Eventually they succeeded.
Interview in the hall, okay? Let's get him down. Come on. All right, thanks for being cooperative, sir.
Yeah,
okay,
no problem.
Thank you.
And why did you do it?
I did that because we are currently funding a genocide. And we need
At least the security is respectful. I will grant you that, because I have been obviously, you know, severely thrown around by security before, and also been treated with the utmost respect by security before. There's such a huge difference when it's like people who are just clearly, this is my job, I'm showing up today, I know I have to move you from this area to this area, but I don't want you to get hurt on your way down. There are stairs right there, so I'm going to go out of my way to make sure, please just watch your step there. Thank you so much. All right, I'm just here for your safety, right? Essentially, that's what I'm supposed to do, so that's what I'm going to do, right? Whereas there's other places you go where it's just people like throwing you, pushing you, like, get the fuck out of here kind of shit.
and it needs to stop. And also, I want to make it clear to the Harris campaign that this is actually in their interest. Netanyahu is trying to instigate a larger war so he can remain in power and avoid going to prison. In order to move Netanyahu off of his current position of trying to expand the war in order to stay in power and remain out of jail, we believe that the U.S. needs to stop arming Israel. It needs to have an embargo against their genocide.
There's Ryan Grimm. A wild Ryan Grimm appears.
Otherwise, Netanyahu doesn't have the incentive to stop the genocide, to stop the mass murder.
Why does this matter to you so much?
He's right.
It matters to me so much because I'm a Jew, and I was always brought up to believe that never again means never again for anyone, anywhere, ever, period. And that's not what's happening right now. What's happening right now is that we are continuing to fund and support an ongoing genocide, the mass murder of children, and it needs to stop.
Hero. What a legend. Well, I mean, that brings us to, I guess, this that came out today from the UN RWA. Before the war, Gaza City was the liveliest city in Gaza Strip. Now it's mostly just rubble. It's rare to see buildings without damage or total destruction anymore. Any building fully intact stands out. Hundreds of thousands of homes and lives destroyed. Stories of children, mothers, fathers, entire families being buried underneath rubble. If you haven't seen some of the latest footage, it's like something out of an apocalyptic film where literally nothing is left, just everything destroyed as far as the eye can see. Oh, it's just so much more depressing and dark than any film I've seen on the apocalypse or even on nuclear fallout or shit like that. When you just see how there's just no life left. There's no animals, there's no plants, there's nothing. There's just destruction. That's all that remains. And again, that's one of the reasons why I say that, like, younger people who consume their information more through the internet than they do through mainstream media are getting a lot more of these images, of the videos of the dead children, of the viscera, of the basically, you know, just full-blown seeing genocide with your own eyes, which is why they are a lot more active and a lot more vocal about their outrage and disgust. When you're someone who's consuming like the half an hour of news at night on TV, where it's one of like 16 stories, and that one story will say things like another unfortunate day for Palestinian children as they have to move from one location to another, still wondering when a ceasefire will come. Meanwhile, the Democrats have announced that they are fighting for a ceasefire, although details are murky at this point in time. We now go to, and that's it. Like that's your exposure. And then that's what you know of it, and you're like, I've heard it's sad. Yeah, it looks as if people are having a really hard time there. There's some starvation or something, polio, something bad. But they're not seeing just like the satellite photos where it's like, here's where, like, if you look in the satellite picture, everything in red is where there's been something that's been bombed or destroyed, and it's just the majority of the Gaza Strip now. Like the entire strip has been destroyed. It's just now mostly rubble and destruction and mass death of just a unfathomable degree. And so when you see that, that's why there's that disconnect that everyone is experiencing, where some people are so revolted with other people. Just the very idea of someone being like, hey, by the way, come on, I'm talking. Stephen King, he's gonna post a picture, it's got the logo, I'm talking, shut up protesters, don't help Trump. You help Trump if you talk up about this. And people on the other end just feeling like, fuck, just I can't believe this is supposed to be the highest crime against humanity. We're supposed to prevent this from ever occurring. Once we've identified it as happening and you see it with your own eyes, you're supposed to do everything in your power to stop it, to block people shipping weapons, to stop people from sending over military aid. Like this is happening in real time because of our help. Like we have to stop that. That's why there is this really powerful disconnect that's going on the internet right now between Oh, Walz is cute. Yeah, no. See, Tim Walz, perfect pick in many ways. Like, there's people who at these conventions, they have very kind of like, I would say, animated expressions, and they're just profoundly strange to look at. Like Hillary Clinton when the balloons dropped, where she's like that's not the good kind of like wholesome, like, oh, you're excited. That's like, what's going on with your face? But Tim Walz is the other kind, where you can just tell this is like a little kid in a candy store. He's just like, oh, I'm so excited. This is so much fun.
It is so good to be with everyone this evening in this hall and everyone at home. This is going to be a great week. And I want to kick us off by celebrating our incredible President, Joe Biden, who will be speaking later tonight. Joe, thank you for your historic leadership, for your lifetime of service to our nation, and for all you will continue to do. We are forever grateful to you. Thank you, Joe. And looking out at everyone tonight, I see the beauty of our great nation. People from every corner of our country and every walk of life are here, united by our shared vision for the future of our country. And this November, we will come together and declare with one voice, as one people, we are moving forward.
You see what a complicated time it is? Like, it's so difficult to be someone with any kind of morality and realize just like the reality of the situation, that this ongoing genocide that's taking place right now against Palestinians is being directly armed by the United States. And every day there's just a juxtaposition between the horrifying atrocities and war crimes. And they're now, the Democrats, in this incredibly unique situation where you can kind of start to leave the baggage of the old president, the genocide Joe, behind. It's a very rare situation that, like, the president steps down, allowing for the vice president to then run in his stead. And in this way, we can actually create two different campaigns. We're going to go Brat Summer in one direction, and then let's just let the old genocide Joe stuff, try and die on the side. And you can tell even watching this, you can be, a full-blooded communist or an anarchist or something like that. But it's so easy to get sucked into it. It's so easy to get sucked into just like seeing stadiums full of people celebrating the very concept of a woman becoming the first president in U.S. history, a multiracial woman becoming the first president in U.S. history, much like when Barack Obama was running. Part of me, that part of that progressive part of you just feels like, fuck yes. It feels like we're somehow, even if you're not an American, somehow defeating something evil through that alone. The very act of putting someone in a position of that power, that getting the votes of the majority of the country coming together, coalescing to then elect someone that in the defiance of the history of the United States itself, and someone who comes from immigrant parents, no less. This is a truly beautiful story like that. It's very easy to get sucked into this narrative, and this is a lot more powerful than anything the RNC is selling right now, right? The RNC, it's basically creepy old JD Vance, fucking, tech bro, Silicon Valley creep who wants to control women's wombs and track their menstrual cycles and tell you about how he would enjoy beer if he wasn't so angry, and apparently wants to fuck cheese. That's something else that's happening right now. I don't know. But it's just like a profoundly depressing old, Trump has no more sauce. He's just angry. It's not an inspiring campaign. The polling is no longer going their way. This gap can only widen as long as they consider or continue their enthusiasm. I mean, Trump's so fucked that he's resorted to using AI to try and hype up the fact that he's endorsed by Taylor Swift, which never happened, but that's weird and creepy and strange too. He's now just posting fake AI art of Taylor Swift endorsing him, or fake AI art of Kamala having some giant communist rally or other weird shit like that. It's just their whole thing feels old and depressing and gross and cooked, honestly, at this point. Whereas this, it feels much more inspiring, and you can tell why there's a decidedly different atmosphere to it.
Woo! In the words of the great American poet, Nellie, it's getting hot in here. We were able to do that thanks to the support of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and the thousands of auto workers that went on strike.
So Sean Fain, obviously pretty good. That's what you'd expect. I was surprised with AOC in that a lot of people, especially lefties online, have been saying for a long time, it feels like she's vying for a more long-term political career. She's not basically just going to be done with her last cycle. She's maybe going to one day be running for president. And I wasn't really getting that vibe with what was happening with her and Joe Biden and her nonstop support of Joe Biden, even though everyone else was like, no, he has to step down. I was basically like, I don't think this is 4D chess. I think what has happened here is you've seen an instance where after the big donors were pulling out and after the bigger names like Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff were kind of circling around Joe, well, then at that point, if you're within the inner circle of Joe Biden, you're going to have to start trying to make new and strong alliances, big names as well. So you may have reached out to the AOC camp or something to that effect, being like, hey, we just want you to be vocal about your support for Joe, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's a quid pro quo thing, but whatever it was, it kind of felt like that might be more as to why she was going in that direction. But having watched her speech, I was like, it really does feel like AOC is potentially preparing for a future career as the vice president, or at least, no, I'd say maybe the president of the United States.
Kamala!
And she is working tirelessly to secure a ceasefire in Gaza and bringing hostages home.
Now, that got one of the largest applauses, I would say, and organic applauses of the night. That was one of the biggest ones where it wasn't like one of the slogans that everyone dropped. Everyone would love repeating the slogans at the end, right? We're not going back, say it with me, lock him up, things like that. We're getting, obviously, really big applause. But we have to be completely clear about the reality on the situation. A ceasefire is not possible as long as Israel is consistently either rejecting the terms of a ceasefire, not adding the fact that there's going to be a cessation of the war or an end to the war as part of the terms of the ceasefire, as long as Israel is effectively rejecting ceasefire agreements over and over and over again. And that seems to have been the pattern for anyone who isn't buying into 100% Anthony Blinken, John Kirby propaganda. Then the next step is that if the U.S. legitimately wants a ceasefire, then it's going to have to come with, and this is not controversial, this is simply following international law. If you know, Kamala Harris is way too pro-Israel, way too pro-AIPAC to ever want to engage in a two-way arms embargo, she has but to go, again, from the law and order perspective of, in order to fall and obey, you know, international law, of which we have considered ourselves to be partners in, we are no longer going to be able to provide offensive and military weapons as long as Israel is engaged in what the international community is determining to be a genocide. Not we're going to be doing a two-way arms embargo, as you should be, which I think most, you know, nations that want to have morality should be. But until there is a cessation of arms sales from the United States, there's no imperative for Israel to stop. In fact, Benjamin Netanyahu's been pretty clear, as has the rest of, like, you know, the members of the Knesset that are on his side, that they want to prolong the war, that it is of benefit to them, that he doesn't want to even have to, you know, answer for his own crimes, not even the crimes against humanity, not even, like, you know, turning himself to, you know, the International Court of Justice or anything like that. I mean, like, just distinctly the crimes that he's committed that have violated Israeli law. So again, it's a situation where you can say all you want that we want a ceasefire, but it means nothing. It's just empty words if it does not come with some kind of terms or conditions. Otherwise, like, ask yourself this question, very, very easy. Are bombs being dropped on children's faces? Are they being burnt alive by bombs? Are those bombs being made and manufactured by the United States, shipped to Israel? As long as that is the case, then it will continue until the United States says we are no longer going to provide these bombs. And that's the moment in which you could say that then you can effectively start to bargain for a ceasefire, say that you need to adhere to international law. These are gross violations. There needs to be a plan in place. There is still no plan. What does the future hold for the absolute and complete and utter destruction of Gaza right now? Where's the next step? Is it just going to be open and brazen colonization? Is it going to be just even more reinforced open air prison internment in which all food, water, electricity is controlled directly? Is there going to be more settlements? What's the next plan? Because no one knows, right? Outside of maybe Benjamin Netanyahu and what he's planning specifically, or maybe Ben Gvir. But outside of that, what is exactly the next stage? We're not entirely sure. We're just waiting to find out. I have a lot of trouble listening to Joe Biden now. That he thoroughly repulses and disgusts me, and I don't like the veneration of him either. That also kind of just thoroughly repulses and disgusts me. But I mean, in terms of Joe Biden's speeches, it was better than I was expecting, especially for how late it went, to say the least. And there was not going to be a DNC where they were not in some way going to just completely honor and show outrageous amounts of love for Joe Biden. That's just not going to happen. You know, there's not going to be a passing of the torch like scenario that I think is necessary for the moment. Without that, you know, it's just, realistically, yes. If it were me and I was scheduling this, I would have probably scheduled his arrest as soon as he went up to the stage. Would have been like, "Sir, you're being arrested for crimes against humanity," and that would have been my planning. But I'm not probably the best person to organize and or plan for the DNC because of that reason. So that's probably best that I had nothing to do with this whatsoever, especially not even being American. So I was far away from this.
You say that the civil rights bill should be overturned.
I didn't say that. I said it was a mistake.
Why? That's crazy.
I gotta figure it out.
I wouldn't be here. That's trouble.
Who's that?
I have a question.
Charlie Kirk was frightened by a child, had to walk away. He was getting debated, and he wasn't ready. He's unfortunately just not going to be doing the live stream debates. He uploaded this within 30 seconds of walking to the United Center. I was confronted by this guy. So this is basically 38 seconds or less. You can see how quickly Charlie Kirk's weird brain goes right into his default mode, transphobia. It happens pretty fast.
Because we have a Republican governor and a Republican Secretary of State in the state of Georgia.
What's your name? You said Parker?
My name's Parker. We have a Republican governor and a Republican Secretary of State in Georgia that approved our elections, and Donald Trump said that wasn't constitutional.
Relax.
Donald Trump.
That is a nice, scary little jump scare there, too. He's usually making the face. Eee. Eee. So what do you think about E? Oh, God. Ugh. E.
And Donald Trump said that wasn't constitutional.
Relax.
Donald Trump tried to undermine our Constitution.
Yeah, I saw that. It's the not my gust answer.
Hey, you're an anti-patriotic, anti-constitutional person crashing our party because you tried to stop our democracy.
I got one question.
Donald Trump called the Secretary of State of Georgia and told him to find him some votes.
One question.
Oh my God, that is so fucking weird.
What is a woman? That was after all of that, everything you said. I got one question. One question alone. I got to know one thing. Okay. What's a woman did?
I got one question.
Donald Trump called the Secretary of State of Georgia and told him to find him some votes.
What is a woman?
Oh my God. That is so fucking weird, y'all. Maybe you should meet one.
I'm married to one.
Same.
Hope you
Because we
But unlike you, I met my wife by having a job interview with her where I was supposed to hire her, but instead I said you have to go out for dinner with me. That's what I did with my position of power as a potential boss. I was going to be her employer. I was like, you have to come meet me. Charlie Cook pulled up on Hassan. This was a very, very quick 11 seconds, but it did happen.
Hassan in the flesh.
What's up, Charlie? How you doing?
You gotta send me commission on all the YouTube videos you make about me.
Anyway,
See, that right there is what I'm referring to. The kind of like this weird thing that right-wingers think like we're all friends. We all have the same job at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what your political ideology is, what mine is. We're both podcasters, streamers. We make YouTube videos. We have the same job, so we're kind of like colleagues, you know. And then I'm just kidding, bro. just kidding. Yeah, and come on, man. Yeah, I like your stuff.
anyway,
over. Now, I think that the betting markets are about as reliable as polling data. They are at best directional. Okay.
Is this that cryptocurrency betting market? It is polling market. Well, we got to get down to the facts on the ground, and I'm not totally sure what I feel about betting markets. You're going to extreme betting markets, all right? If you want to look at betting markets, start looking at the Vegas markets. You're looking at the cryptocurrency betting markets, which, yeah, I mean, if they have slightly changed in favor of Harris, I guess, that's not good.
The betting markets, the RCP average of polls, all of this stuff they're meant to be viewed as content. They're meant to be viewed as, you know, conversational pieces. They don't mean
this is for gambling. You're just promoting gambling. This is a market for people to gamble on their predictions about whether or not someone's going to win an election and then try to make money from it.
Diddly squat. All right. When Trump won in 2016, Hillary Clinton was up by almost 10 points nationally in all of the aggregate polls. Okay. It doesn't matter. But what we can say is we can look at the Kamala nomenon or the cacklementum and see what's happened, because they tried to hide this woman. They tried to hide her and hide her good, just like they did with Biden, because they didn't want the American public to realize that he was literally a head of lettuce. At one point, when the switch was made,
he doesn't normally cover politics. I think that's probably the problem, because he normally just covers like internet drama and like, you know, trying to vilify LGBTQ plus people for money. That's the extent of it. I think now that he's trying to do actual electoral politics, he's mixing up the UK election with the American election. But
okay, when the switch was made to bring Harris in, she rocketed to as much as nearly a 10-point lead in the national betting markets. 53-45, 52-45, 50-46. Just absolutely crushing, right? Well, right now
he did a 5-hour stream on the DNC last night, and it was so messy. Oh, what, the quartering? Oh, I imagine so. That most likely a very alcohol fueled experience.
But that's the power of propaganda.
Is this from 538? Are you guys going full Nate Silver now?
Shout out Michael Malice. Try to have him on the show this week, by the way. As I wrote, this too will correct. I suspect it will plummet post DNC. The betting markets have already adjusted bigly. The polling will trail 1 or 2 weeks behind.
Okay, first off, if you want to look at the betting markets, I'm not saying that they usually aren't reflective of what the actual polls and data might be showing, because yes, they're in the business of making money, so they're going to be giving you odds based on what they think is the most predictable and likely outcome. That's how the Vegas betting markets are. I don't know how the cryptocurrency betting markets are, but I assume, like most things cryptocurrency, they're going to be a little bit more sketch and a little bit more unstable. And so let's not use them as a way of understanding what is going on here.
And these numbers, and Michael Malice, who's far smarter than I am on politics, wrote, I couldn't agree more, and then shared this chart of Kamala in orange. The Kamala nomenon during the 2020 run-up,
Do you not think that there's a difference between a whole bunch of people running in a Democratic primary versus someone who's already an established political candidate who's going to be running in opposition for the presidency of the United States? And that might play a role. Yes, the argument that she wasn't the most popular of all the primary Democratic candidates is true, 100% true. To look at that and then be like, I just want to show all of you, this is pretty predictive, all right? So if we're looking at the 2020 primaries here, you can tell that, you know, she peaked right around here, and then this is where our queen, Tulsi Gabbard, destroyed her at the debates, and then effectively she just basically plummeted ever since. So it's just one bad debate. So this shows me that she's literally one bad debate moment, just one away from crumbling in entirety.
It had this inexplicable spike right before the debates. Then she ran into Tulsi Gabbard.
The line does go down.
And sunk lower than 5% after running up against.
But you should pull up the cryptocurrency markets for that time, just so we can juxtapose them. I'd like to see what the crypto markets were thinking, and then that way I can truly understand what the future holds.
Tulsi Gabbard, who, by the way, Trump brought in for some debate prep. I hope he listens to her. By the way, the DNC this week, I don't know if you know this, like, again, I am very moderate in terms of my body, my choice, this, that, and the other thing. Hey, I don't want to get the jab, so my body, my choice. You want to do whatever you want with your fetus, your body, your choice, okay? Except the left doesn't agree with that. But anyway, this is what's happening at the DNC.
No one was forcing you to get the jab, and no one is going to be forcing anyone to get abortions against their will. In the opposite direction, people are forcing you to have to give birth against your will. That's what's happening. You can be an asshole, not believe in public health, not wash your body, your hands, your face, or your ass, and just be a disgusting degenerate. That's on you. That's your freedom. You get to do that. People around you can tell you that you stink and don't want to be around you anymore. That's also your choice. But you don't suddenly get a right to enter large public spaces where you can spread communicable diseases because you don't understand how this whole thing works. That was the difference. It wasn't that you were forced to get the jab. It's that you weren't allowed to go to the restaurants for a while. You just weren't one of the people allowed to go into all of the restaurants or the theaters or the auditoriums. And that's not the case anymore.
And they think this is going to play well with Democrat voters. All free vasectomy and...
I like how he's like, hey, by the way, I'm a libertarian, live and let live, centrist. Okay, I definitely am not saying that I want to restrict anyone's ability to have access to healthcare. But look at this. They brought an actual baby shredder to the... That's what this is. I'm going to label this thing as a baby killer. And it was brought to the DNC to kill babies in front of everybody. It's just going to be giving abortions live on demand.
Medication terminations of pregnancies are filed for our mobile health clinic in Chicago.
Yes, that's giving people pills, contraceptives, as well as pills that can induce abortions. Yes, that is a thing. Women should have access to them, or people who give birth should have access to them. It's not a bad thing. If you have a pregnancy that you are not prepared to see to term, or that you don't want to see to term, you should have the right to have healthcare still.
Chicago. Check back soon. We'll share. They're literally having a mobile baby terminator. And by the way, I 100% support liberals getting their free vasectomies. If I could pay for a few more of them, I would be happy to. But they think this stuff is going to play with liberals.
Sorry, wait. So you're for men getting vasectomies because it's a big meme right now? They think it's epic as if they're rendering all the Democrats infertile. I get it. Super funny. But at the same time, do you understand that you're still paying for healthcare related to people's ability to conceive? So I don't think if you are morally consistent, no, you can't say that you are on one end. Oh, well, I don't think that women should have complete access to healthcare because of certain reasons related to, you know, the sanctity of birth and that these are innocent lives and all that kind of stuff. While at the same time, you're preventing men from impregnating women if they don't have the ability to do so because they have now been snipped. I mean, what does that say? It's complicated, isn't it?
Oh. Bro. Regular liberals... like actual, right, you know, hey, I like the environment, I'm anti-censorship. They are not in favor of baby terminating RVs. This is insane. Donald Trump tweets this picture of Kamala Harris in Chicago.
Okay. This is a really good example of how cooked he is. He's using AI art because this is not a thing. Because the Red Scare doesn't work. Do you think kids today know what the fuck the Red Scare is? They're going to see this picture. Most kids who see this are going to be like, whoa, based. Yeah, this is neat.
For the DNC, 512,000 likes. She's literally a communist.
What does this tell you?
Donald Trump is going to pound this and pound this. By the way, if I can offer any advice to the Trump campaign, sure. I know obviously they must watch all of my videos. Stop calling her a liberal. She's not a liberal. She's a radical socialist communist. That's what.
That's not you giving them advice. That's you basically consuming their own messaging. It's going in the opposite direction. They're the ones giving you advice, and then you, for absolutely no profit to yourself, are regurgitating their own platform on yours. That's what you're doing there. That's already what Trump is. You just showed a picture of Trump with the AIR of the communist thing. That it's what they want people to say.
You need to call her. Don't call her a liberal. Because you know what? I called myself a liberal when I voted for Donald Trump in 2016. There are a lot of liberals who are like, I'm not cool with baby destruction mobile machine, RB.
I mean, if only you would take 2 seconds to learn what exactly was being offered, and what you were describing now is basically a mobile baby shredder. They are providing, again, contraceptive pills, Plan B, perhaps, pills that can safely and medically induce an abortion without the need for surgery if it's very, very early into a pregnancy, stuff of that nature. There's no babies being killed. It's just literally a collection of cells. Whenever you do this, when you scratch your nose like that, and you're actually, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of cells that are just like now dead, falling onto the ground. It's similar to that. We're not even talking at the fetus phase. If we're talking to people who are taking Plan B, like literally the day after having sex, we're not even there yet.
Planned Parenthood is bringing the mobile healthcare unit to the DNC and offering free vasectomies to help women also destroy their babies. Demonic. Yeah.
Demonic.
Hold your spot. Gotta do that.
You don't get to label yourself as like, well, I'm just an open-minded libertarian / liberal, but at the same time, I do need to explain that what they're doing here is effectively baby shredders, and they're in like this is Satan, literal Satanism. All right.
That.
Go after. By the way, in terms of like they stole the tax on tips thing, no, it's different. But even if it wasn't different, isn't that something you should celebrate? If like, hey, by the way, I hate Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump comes out and he's like, hey, I want to withdraw from Afghanistan, I'd be like, I agree with that. The U.S. should not be in there. That's probably a good idea. I hate Donald Trump, but I'm not going to go after something that reflects a policy that I would also want.
Dial it back. They are not smart. Okay. Do you know what a $25,000 tax credit on first-time home buyers will do to the home market? Let me tell you quite simply. It will simply increase the price of homes that are already scarce and are already at high...
Everything's in reverse. So, by the way, I have those two potential policies. One of them is a $6,000 child tax credit. I think that's like inarguably a beautiful thing. I think anyone who wants to promote families, who wants to promote things like birth rates, who wants to promote things like having, healthy American families get actually born. All the people obsessed with that shit, like the Elon Musks, the Tucker Carlsons, the people who have like impregnation fetishes, they never want to actually help parents. That's something that's going to directly help parents. It's just, again, going to be a net good on society if first-time parents suddenly have a massive, reduction in their taxes due to a new tax credit for children. That's a beautiful thing, and I hope it comes to pass for, the new families in America, even if they happen to be Republican families. The kids should not suffer, even if their daddies are weird as fuck. On the other one, a $25,000 potential reduction or, government stipend to be able to afford a first-time home, or just have the cost of a house reduced by having some kind of government provision, is also a good thing. Not a lot of people, I know, like if you're the quartering and you're, this multimillionaire off this weird empire of bigotry, you don't know this. Not a lot of people just have $100,000 sitting in a bank account waiting to put that down as a down payment. That is an insurmountable amount of money they will never know in their lifetimes. So the very idea of suddenly having a $25,000 credit to be able to afford your first house would be massive. And to say that, well, all this is going to result in is that every single house is just going to increase in cost by $25,000 is an absurd and ridiculous thing to say that's based in absolutely nothing other than vibes.
Level bubble prices. It's just going to increase them 25 grand. Literally nobody wins. You have to be an actual moron to think that policy is any good. And of course, communism.
But again, this is going to be a very losing war for the right. As long as you keep saying Kamala Harris's policies, or at least the things that she's announced, are bad. Why are they bad? Because you'll be getting lots of money if you're a first-time homeowner, or if you're a first-time parent, or if you have a family, you'll get lots of money. Why is that bad? Communism, because that's what communism is, and then it leads to communism, and so then we become China because China's communist, and so that's why this is bad. That's not a really like appealing fucking argument in the other direction though, because it sounds, I think, to someone who has a kid or is buying their house for the first time, fucking awesome, right? How is someone going to hear like, hey, by the way, you can get a $25,000 homeowner's credit or a $6,000 child tax credit? That's something that's being offered to you, and then to be like, but hey, if you take it, you're a communist. Okay, call me whatever the fuck you want. I want that $6,000. I want the $25,000. Are you insane? Like, sure,
was trending
communist.
number 1 on X all weekend long.
Je suis communist. We're all communists now.
Income required to afford an average house in the United States in 2020 was $53,700 average income per year.
Yeah, righties. Capitalism fucking sucks. How are you not getting this yet? What do you think this is because? This is because the Democrats. Only the Democrats see an increase in the amount of the cost associated with owning a home. Only when Democrats are president do the cost of homes go up. Only. It's like, what? Have you looked at the cost for a home just like shortly after World War II compared to the average cost of a home today? Have you ever figured why there may have been a robust middle class in America? What unionization and strong unions did to the working class in America? Stuff like this. It's just always just like, well, this is because Joe.
4 years later, it would take $121,000. Imagine what, like, I don't like being mean to people because I know there are a lot of moderates that watch my videos.
You haven't been mean yet. You're just stupid and like you're not speaking sense. None of this is based in reality. You can't just like show pictures of AI generated communism art and then be like, and this is what's going to happen. I don't want to be mean. I mean, I don't want to be a name caller. What, calling her a communist? Who the fuck is insulted by that? This like in this day and age. Like liberals are like, no, she's not. She's a capitalist. Lefties are like, no, she's not. She's a capitalist. Right wingers are like, no, she's definitely a fucking hardcore far left extremist communist. But we can't name any of her accomplishments. She hasn't done anything, as you can see up here, right? They can't name a single accomplishment. She hasn't done anything, but she's also a radical communist that has destroyed society at the same time. All powerful, but weak.
But like, come on.
Hey, if you'd like to unlock secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/The Serfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Puppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Devil, Travis McClinton, Trincell, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.